Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Abacus Life's channel, a leading vertically integrated alternative asset manager investing in in-force life insurance products throughout the life cycle of a life insurance policy. Joining us to discuss the recent earnings that were pretty astounding, to say the least, we have Jay, the Chief Executive Officer. Welcome back.
Thank you. Great to be back.
Yeah, and love having you on in this, the fascinating realm of insurance. It's actually been crushing it lately. I mean, for Q2, your revenue was up, 30% year over year to 18.3 million, with net income increase of 40% to 6.4 million. You want to explain what's driving this growth for you?
Sure. It wasn't a huge surprise for us. We've been looking at and living in this market for over 20 years. It's new and being introduced to a lot of people for the first time. But remember, this is a $13 trillion industry with a massive, massive addressable market with the growth prospects that are 2-3 times even where we're currently at, right? If you look at the aging population that we're faced with, everyone's looking at different ways to monetize that. We are already monetizing that, and we're doing that every single quarter. So when I think of where our revenue growth was year over year, and then consider where the markets are today, people are seeking liquidity. You have an inflationary environment and you have high interest rates. So what we're providing to policyholders is liquidity and capital in an asset that they didn't even know had any value. But in addition to that, there's investor capital that's trying to access our asset class. And that investor capital is keeping the cost of capital down because it's essentially an uncorrelated asset. So I think it's super important to realize that, yes, we had a terrific second quarter, but this is truly just scratching the surface of where we can be, considering we're a $13 trillion industry and we're barely capturing a few billion of that.
Yeah, I appreciate the insights. And speaking of liquidity and kind of where you're going here, I mean, with 277 million of assets, of which 20 million in cash against 116 million in liabilities, you're in this fairly robust situation. You want to talk about some of the capital plans, what you're kind of utilizing this cash for moving forward?
Sure. It's to acquire more policies, right? We utilize all of the capital that we have is to purchase and acquire more life insurance policies for our balance sheet, which is exactly what investors should be looking for, right? We're looking at an uncorrelated assets that's cash reserved by the life insurance company, issued by an A-rated creditor, yet earning double-digit returns. That is exactly what you should want me to do with this assets, because we're the market maker and we put it right on our balance sheet. So as we aggregate more capital on our balance sheet, we're just buying more of the asset that's generating those returns that are effectively uncorrelated.
Yeah, and finally here, I mean, you kind of have this direction you're going in, but milestones, is there any anticipation that investors should focus on? What are you focused on for the latter half of 2023?
Sure. Milestones that we're really looking at and focused on in that earnings release, you saw an amount of capital deployment, which was a massive increase. That's a key component to focus in on. We grew our capital deployed by 88% year over year, effectively $60 million of new capital deployed. Do the math. When you start to look at, okay, what's the average that we're earning on that capital deployed via the ROE at 16% annualized, or the ROIC at 28% annualized, it's pretty easy to figure out where we're going, right? So when you look at a key indicator for us is looking at the capital deployed. The more we can deploy, the more contracts we're buying. Ultimately, you'll continue to see those earnings driven upward.
Well, on that note, I definitely appreciate these insights. As always, I'll pass the question off to the viewers. We'd love to know what you think in that comment section below, and definitely consider subscribing, because as catalysts and news continue to hit the wire, we're going to update you here. But on that, we look forward to catching you in the next one.
Awesome. Thank you.